I wanted to respond in part to George for Title's recent video about adverse possession and a quiet title lien situation. George for Title's been kind of hanging out with this guy who the South African guy who does some Southern California real estate stuff. And I was adding a little comment, or I watch these videos and go through here. Now there's another dude, Man of the Clouds. Younger guy looks like, and well, idiot, yeah, okay. Then talked about how he's worked for a remodel company. Okay, so here's a guy with remodel skills. Now this is going to dovetail with a lot of stuff I talk about in my other videos, the handyman stuff, the house fix-up stuff. I'm not going to upload this. I was going to upload it, but I'm going to upload it after I have to run out and do a job right now, and I'm going to go and do the rest of the video out there. But I want you to read this guy's comment right here. I knew it. Real estate is all about the paperwork. If I had a shitload of money, see myself investing in real estate, but I don't. I've worked as a grunt labor home remodeling company. If you do that on your own, you can make good money, etc., etc. I want to start a little cooperative business out there in Southern California. Flip houses for a living. Buy low, remodel. When it's worth 100 more in profit, 100K more profit, sell that bitch. Well, there's people that do that. And it's a rough trade, but it works, and it tends to work better than working for low wages for a remodel company, where all you're going to get out of the deal is the wages. On these types of deals, what you're working for is a percentage of the profit on sale. The places sell as a owner sell and its owner rebuild. One of the reasons a lot of investors are going to have a lot of hesitation in wanting to deal with this is because they're giving up some of the control and some of the profit potential in the deal. Next, I'm going to be on site at a job site. I'm going to show you how this works with some people. Okay, follow-up video on the guy was talking about it. I was in the George Hemminger's videos. There was a comment in there. Guy wants to move into old houses, fix them up, sell them when there's some profit potential. Group investing in real estate is something where if you form a group for economic survival, okay, now I publish a lot of stuff on survivalists and handyman type stuff. I'm going to do a tour of this house really quick. This is one where a bunch of ladies involved in real estate, they've invested in this. A lot of contractors in and out. It was fucked up. Okay, this place was fucked up when I got it, but it's huge. It's massive. It's old, it's classic, all the beams are in really good shape. It was really well built to begin with. We're thinking that it was built in the teens, like about 100 years ago. About a 100-year-old house. Well done when it was built, and it's obviously it's getting overhauled as they have the money to do it. Now something like this, and this is it's 3 stories here, okay? There's 3 stories, the bedroom, bathrooms, it's going to have multiple kitchens. It's going to become actually 4 stories when we count the basement. So it's going to become a large complex rental, but this will be also really good for a large group of people that have chosen to do the communal house type situation. And this apparently was a communal house for a lot of people at one point, at more than one point. But it's a major project, and if you're paying full price for all of the labor on this, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a project of this magnitude. Now, the people that own this project have not come to that realization yet. They have not come to the realization that they probably needed to involve more people who work. It's all women that own this project, and they didn't realize they're going to have to pay for a lot of labor. But the size and scope of these things are that if you have a combination of money investors and then people doing sweat equity, where there is shared ownership in the profits, and somebody's willing to share the ownership in the profits and willing to work with the percentages, the way it normally ought to work is that the workers and the investors have to get together as a group. Somebody's going to be voted on to represent the investor side, and then somebody else votes, or you have a vote on the worker side. And those who are on the worker side but for whatever reason didn't have the money to get in on the cash investor side then they start out in the mix owing a certain amount of labor on the project. If they don't meet that labor requirement on a number of hours and things accomplished, it's according to everybody else involved, then their percentage is forfeit. And I'll go into more of that later. On the financial side, it's really simple. You put in X amount of dollars, you own X amount of share of the project. On the combination side, that's one of those things that gets figured out. And I'm going to write that down, explain to people how that works. So this place is massive. And what they probably would want to use is, it would take a lot of people to do this. And this one is also where it gets a little bit difficult to have a live-aboard, work-aboard situation because of the amount of gutting that's had to be done here. I'll go over more later. Okay, so I'm doing this by the job, not by the hour, so I can afford to take a little break. But I've got to bash a lot of this wall out and figure out how to get that tub cut loose there, because that's all going away and getting a new one. But you know, want to get into this thing about the, you know, move in, live in, fix up type stuff. We have partnerships between workers and owners, and it's something that a lot of people in a hierarchy type situation in business really resistant to do. But it does work in a fast, mobile, adaptive recovery economy, and that's what I call what we're in right now. This is a recovery economy. Things can come up. They could get bad again, but it's not just a bubble when you're actually producing things. And in producing something which is taking the environment of, you know, deteriorated maintenance houses, they get revalued. A lot of work has to be added. Okay, that's labor plus materials, labor plus resources. And then we create an item of value. And then that item of value then becomes a commodity or something that's bought, sold, traded. That's regular economic activity, and in what we call right now the recovery economy. So if somebody wants to get into those investor-worker partnerships, they're a lot more palatable to especially the workers than the traditional separation between investors and workers, where we say that, okay, the investor is guaranteed his income, or at least his percentages, which is all of the profit after expenses, and the worker demands to be guaranteed a certain level of income based on the work they do, with no risk involved, with no risk of saying, well, if things go well, I'm only going to make this much. If things go a little better, I'm still only going to make this much. What this situation would involve is where the workers are working for a percentage of the situation, probably only going to work for minimum wage as a wage. And then anything above minimum wage is going to be, you know, profit sharing. And you see this in the film industry. And in the film industry, there are certain licenses, usually outside of California, implied licenses of things being below minimum wage. And that's a situation where you're pitching in, you're providing food, you might provide a place to camp out in the basement, something like that, some basic amenities. But what makes this fair and not a labor exploitation situation is when it is a percentage of the profit situation. And that's one of those instances where, you know, everybody got to make a deal with each other and be realistic about things. Anyway, I'm going to talk more later, but I've got to get some work done here.